Good morning, folks. Thanks for joining in. It looks like we've got a lot of people in today. So let's give it a couple more minutes for the rest of the audience to join in. Until then, why don't you folks in the chat section let us know where you're from, which part of North America you folks are from. Looks like we've got some people from Ontario, people joining in from Chicago, Gibsons, some local folks. We've got New York. We've got people from Canada, people joining in from Illinois. We've got Fort Worth. Awesome. So it looks like we've got a packed audience today. That's great to see. First of all, thank you for investing your time to learn about Toolkit CRM and how advisors and their teams can become the most productive versions of themselves using Toolkit. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with us at all, Toolkit is a financial advisor CRM platform, and it's designed in partnership with Pareto Systems. Pareto has been around for over 25 years now, coaching some of the most elite advisory teams in North America. Most of you guys might be familiar with them. And for those of you wondering if Toolkit is a new player in the market, well, aside from the consulting business, Pareto has been in the technology business for over a decade now and has a track record of delivering some cutting-edge fintech solutions in the past. If we know one thing about technology, it's that it's ever evolving and it's either adapt or get left behind. Toolkit is our vision forward, and we've been around for a while, giving other CRMs a run for their money. And I'll get into why in a bit. So I hope that you're excited for the future as I am. My name is Amal, and I lead growth here at Toolkit. And the reason why I'm doing virtual events like this is because I've been tasked to help you help yourself become the most productive people on planet Earth. Now, I'm sure there are aliens more productive than us on other planets, but that's a webinar for another day. So yeah, I'm here to help you understand everything about CRM, why you should consider Toolkit, why you shouldn't, what's different about Toolkit, and how can Toolkit directly help you and your team streamline your practice and make your life a million times easier. And I mean that quite literally. So it looks like we've got about 40 minutes. I'll start by taking about 10 to 12 minutes setting the stage with some basic information that you really need to understand before we dive in, and this is very important. After that, I'll dive into the platform itself, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end of the session. And I really want to make sure that every question goes answered, but we do have a time constraint, so let's jump in. Now, what is a CRM? Some of you might already be using it. Some of you, might have heard about it, but haven't really implemented or adopted it. And some of you might be, relatively very new to this. CRM is just the abbreviation of customer relationship management. Now, it's a piece of software that you can use to organize all your client data in one centralized location. You can store your clients' information like name, address, date of birth, and other basic information like that, basically acting like a Rolodex. Now, that's all basic stuff. If you take it a notch further, it'll even help you track information like, or interaction that you have with your clients, like your notes, your phone calls, your emails, your meetings. Now, these are still basic. An average CRM takes that a notch further again and helps you organize your appointments on a calendar, and it even may have some basic task management functionalities. A good CRM integrates some advanced task management capabilities. It's got some decent team management capabilities, some reporting capabilities, and a one way or the other to analyze customer data. Now, a great CRM does all of this exceptionally well and tailors it to their specific industry. Now, advisors advisors have access to a handful of great CRMs. The decision you need to take is how exceptionally well is it for you? And different CRMs focus on different things. And before we decided to start designing and developing Toolkit, we set out on an adventure to figure out what advisors hated about their existing solution and try to really understand what their dream software looks like. Now, based on the results we got, the biggest frustration was that their existing solution either had way too many bells and whistles or none at all. Like, there was no middle ground. And the second one was learning curve. It took them a long time to get used to it. And to start using it and to somewhat be efficient at using it. And the third one was that it was clunky, it was frustratingly slow and laggy. And at the end of the day, like, all they wanted was a solution that can help them achieve their goals quickly and efficiently. And when we were looking at if there were any underlying factors that contributed to this, like, we discovered that the average age of financial advisors in North America was somewhere between 45 and 65, and the majority of them weren't so tech savvy, which made it seemingly more important for us to make sure that we're simplifying the technology, and yet still give them the firepower to help them level up. Fast forward into a year, we set out to develop a CRM platform with a mission to help advisors effortlessly manage their day and build meaningful client relationships. We understood that when you take care of the first part, the second part becomes easy. And what most people fail to understand is that simplifying innovation is innovation, because it requires a deeper understanding of what the underlying technology is and what users need. And to strike the right balance is extremely hard. But I'm proud to say advisors and teams who've switched over or started using Toolkit absolutely love us, and they've never looked back, which I believe is a testament to why we're growing so rapidly and why we're one of the most rapidly growing fintech companies right now. Now, another prominent operational distinction you need to understand when making the decision between Toolkit and everything else out there is the concept of modularity versus interconnectivity. And yes, this concept does have a significant effect on your productivity and how you can save hours on end. So when you're out and about on the internet researching and or looking at different CRMs, and the chances are you've probably stumbled upon the already popular ones. Maybe you heard it from a friend, another advisor, whoever that may be. One thing that you'll find in common is the ability to connect different platforms you use, like for example, Right Capital or eMoney to the CRM. That's what we call interconnectivity. Only that there's a couple of caveats and problems with this. The current level of technology required to interconnect these different platforms together isn't stable. And so, and those of you folks that are already using an interconnected model is, you're probably nodding because you already know it. Though we might like the idea of, say, for example, sending your client information from your CRM to a custodian platform, to minimize the duplication of work, what ends up happening is that it only works 50% of the time, and you spend the next 3 to 5 times that time figuring out what went wrong and troubleshooting the technical connection. Now, another major flaw that we see is in the model is the domino effect, right? So when one system or connection fails, everything else that were dependent on that particular system or connection also fails, like how dominoes fall in sequence. Now this is not me trying to strip out the value of other CRM providers out there, because it actually might not be the problem of the CRM on the CRM provider side, but rather the custodian side, or whatever platform is that you're trying to send that data to. They might not integrate well, because and the reason for that is because there's multiple versions of multiple softwares on multiple browsers, on multiple computers, on multiple operating systems, right? And so that's the downside. And by the way, I love interconnected systems when they're done right. Everybody on this call knows Apple, right? Nobody else does interconnected systems better than them, because I've got their ecosystem is just phenomenal, right? Because my watch connects to my MacBook, my MacBook connects to my phone connects to my door lock. And life is just good, right? Because everything just connects to each other. But it's very frustrating when it doesn't work the way that it's intended to work. Toolkit has taken a different approach. As I mentioned before, our focus is advisor productivity, and we've taken what's known as what we call a modular approach. So every tool and software that you use can be called a module. Now, Toolkit is intended to be used as your command center for all of these different modules, and this has some obvious benefits. You're no longer a slave to using a particular software, or you're not tied to one company, because you have full autonomy over the tools that you want to use. The integration part is irrelevant there. So if you have a CRM and you're trying to choose between a financial planning software, maybe you're choosing between Right Capital and another software, let's just call it X. You might choose Right Capital because you might notice that it has an integration with your CRM. Whereas you would much be rather better off choosing software X because it's actually much more easier to use, or it's in terms of what your team needs, that might be a better fit. So the integration part is irrelevant when you're using a modular approach, because you're no longer dependent on it. Now, there are always going to be more faster, more better, more efficient tools that you can swap out these modules as you see fit. So this enables you to actually maintain a tech stack that actually works for your business. And another thing is we don't have the domino effect anymore, right? Because when one module fails, the rest of the modules are still solid. It's way easier to narrow down on the error and actually try to solve it or swap it out for a different solution. Another obvious advantage from a security standpoint, which I know is very important for everybody on this call, that it's got far fewer vulnerability points for cyber attacks. So your data and your client's data is encrypted and it's secure. And the final one is that we control the system design, right? So meaning we control how it looks, how it operates. It's not dependent on the requirements of any other softwares or companies out there. The benefit is that we get to bring new features and functionalities effectively to make your life easier. And that's the bottleneck for an interconnected model, because it's hard to innovate. And that's probably the reason why some of the other popular platforms that you know haven't had a leap in innovation. With Toolkit, one critical and essential connection to the outside that you get is your ability to link appointments you have in Toolkit on the calendar inside Toolkit, which I'll get into, to an external calendar like a Google Calendar or Outlook. And I'll show you how you can do that. It's extremely easy. And Toolkit also has the ability to act as your email inbox. And it will automatically, intelligently recognize who that email is from and automatically attach it to your client's, it'll link to your client's contact record. So it's much more easier. So I've talked too much. Let me actually dive into the platform. So right as you log in, what you're greeted with is the calendar. Now, as you can see over here, I've got a bunch of different stuff on the calendar right now. But right off the bat, what you'll notice that it's actually a team calendar, because if you look over the right side, you'll notice that there's a team member section. And by default, I get a bird's eye view of everything happening within my business, and I can understand what all of my teammates are up to. If I just wanted to filter it just to see my own tasks, I see my own appointments and activities, I could just come over to the right side and then filter it by myself, by my name. I can also hover over different people to see what are the activities related or linked to that particular person. So that's pretty neat. If I were to bring your attention to appointment types at the bottom, you'll notice that appointment types is the place where you categorize different have different categories for appointments. Now you can add to this, you can delete from this, you can edit the color, you can edit the name. It's highly customizable. It's highly customizable in that sense. The next thing I probably would want to show is the search functionality, which comes very handy when you have a lot of appointments or when you have a lot of activities related to yourself. So if I were to search just lunch, okay, it's just showing me all the lunch activities that I have scheduled on the calendar. And if I just wanted to come in and filter by just stuff that relates to me, I could just click my name and I'll just filter it by that. Now, depending on my preference, I can either have a monthly view or a weekly view or a daily view. I typically just leave it in the monthly view, just so I have a clearer understanding of what my month looks like. Now, to add appointments, we've made it extremely easy for advisors to add appointments. So what I do, if I wanted to create an appointment, I just come to the date and click on the date, type appointment, click appointment, and I can add, let me add another lunch client. And at a basic level, you can just add a start time and an end time and then save and close. Or I could just come here and add more information to this, such as, which client am I going to be having the lunch with? So either you can click on the search icon and look up by whoever that client is, or I can come in here and type what the client name is, and it will autocomplete for me. I'm looking for Ariel. There you go. There you go. And if I wanted to add other team members, let's just say, maybe I'm taking my business partner along with me to the lunch. I can just come in here and again do the same thing. And I can just type him here, or I can come in here and search for his name, and I can add it through this view over here. I'll get into what accounts are in a bit. So let's just, by the meantime, click appointments, make it sure it's a lunch, and save and close. So just like that, we just created an appointment. And if I wanted to reschedule this to another day, all I have to do is I just have to drag and drop it into a day that works for me. And if I wanted to change the time, I just open it and then just change the time. And then that's it. And so, and some advisors actually prefer to, and we've had this come up before in conversations, some advisors prefer to work the old school way of printing out what their day looks like and then working off the printed version. So if you wanted to print, you have a print functionality over the top here. You can just print out what your day looks, you can just click print and it will show you what your day looks like, and you can just work off that. Now, the next thing that I want to touch on is tasks. The task center is where I come to manage all my tasks. I typically keep my calendar clean. It's only got events that are either a phone call or a Zoom call, or typically anything client related or meeting related is what I have in my calendar. And my task list my task center has all the tasks that I've been assigned to or have been created that I want to complete. And if you look at the right side here, you can see that you've got different team members over at the right here. So this is a team task center. If I wanted to filter it by just the ones that belong to me, I could just come in here and filter by name. Looks like I don't have anything to my name, but this might be one that my assistant created. So Sarah John is the assistant. Click on here. Yeah, it looks like that belongs to Sarah. So with tasks, I can come in here and take a high-level view on what that task is by just hovering over that task. And it'll tell me what the description of that task is and who are the other people attached to that particular task. And another thing that definitely really helps me out is the progression meter. As a business leader, it's important to understand, what are the different activities happening within the business and how far along are we in completing a particular thing, or these tasks might be related to a project that we're doing for a client. So for me, it's important to understand how far along are we in completing that thing. So the progression meter helps me understand how far I have how far this person has, how far along are they in completing this. If I wanted to get a bit more information, I can just click on it and I'll open this task view. I can see what the subject is. I can see what the description looks like. If I scroll a bit here, I can see that it's only 60% of the way completed, and it's normal priority, and the status looks like they're waiting on someone else. Interesting. Maybe it's what could that be? So if I scroll a bit more down, I can see that she's made some notes about this task. It looks like she's waiting on form 5498 and the other form. And it looks like she's waiting on Tyler to send those documents over. Okay, so that's why the task hasn't been fully completed yet, because she needs 2 more documents to finish her checklist and send that to our client. That's probably why Tyler has been attached to this task as well. It looks like this is in relation to Norman Albertson, which is one of our clients. Okay, all right. So how do we create a task? Creating a task is extremely easy. I just click on Add a new task, choose whether it's a task or just a one-time task. I can come over here. I can have a task to follow up with the client. I can come in here and as I showed you before, you can type here anyone that you want. It'll automatically complete for you. You can add different team members. You can set different priority levels for this task, different statuses depending on what it is. Yeah, that's basically tasks. And I can filter and I can sort this by if it's due by its due date. So anything that's due and upcoming is probably is on by default. If I wanted to see just the ones that are due for today, I choose the next one. All the ones that are completed also will show up if I just choose the completed events. And if I just wanted to see everything that's on there, I can just click all and it will show you everything that's on there. So that's pretty neat. Now, I want to skip over contacts for now and get into accounts. Once I give you guys a very high level view on what accounts are, I'll dive into contacts. Now, accounts have dual purpose. Now, some advisors I know typically like to work with households, so they have if it's they typically have a household name, and then they attach or group different contacts to that household. And you can accomplish the same thing using Toolkit, using accounts. So I've just created a very basic example here called the Gilberts. This is a household. I'll just open it and see that, okay, looks like Stephen Gilbert is a primary contact. And if I scroll down, I can see that the linked contacts for this household is Stephanie and Stephen. So, and I can access them directly from within this view as well. So another benefit is that, if you've got some documents or emails that you just want to track for this household, everything that are relating to these two folks will show up accordingly in this section. Everything related to them will show up in this section. So that's pretty neat. Accounts also have another purpose to act as it's like a contact record, but for companies that you work with. You might have a COI network that you work with, you might have a law firm that you work with, and you might work with different lawyers in that law firm. And so this one example that I have is Johnson & Johnson Associates. This is one I've created. So they're part of my COI network. I can add their basic information. I can attach who are the clients that are related to this law firm. Maybe I refer these clients to the lawyer, and it looks like these two are the folks that use the service, use the law service. Okay, so that's what accounts that's what accounts are used for from a very high level perspective. Let me just jump into context here. So, okay, looks like I've got a bunch of contacts over here. Let's just jump right into the first one. Okay, Norman Allison. Let me just switch to the default view. Let's reopen this contact. Now, when we open the contact, you're greeted with a bunch of different sections and a bunch of different fields. So, sections are, the contact is a section, phone and email is a section, the address is a section, and the fields are title, first name, middle name. These are all fields. So this is the default view of a contact record. Now on average, this might do it for the average advisor out there that probably doesn't want any customizations done. But for me, I prefer to customize it to my own business, and so I've actually created a custom form, meaning that I've added different sections to this, I've added different fields to this, and probably the fields that I've added are important to me and might not be important for someone else. So let's just reopen this contact. So this is the custom section, and you can see that I've added a bit more fields to this. Over at the right side, you can see that I've added a fee model, I've added a fee billing, and this is a drop-down menu I just added. These are the options I added to that drop-down. So maybe this client might be AUM based for me, or I might just get a flat fee from this client. And I can also add a billing. What's the frequency of the billing? Is it weekly, monthly, annually? What does it look like? So I've also added a LinkedIn field, so I can go directly to the LinkedIn's client profile from the contact record. I've also added a mortgage information section. So what I've done first is I've created fields like interest rate, payments, time horizon, the frequency of those payments, when does the mortgage end, and what I've done is I've created these fields, then I've grouped them by the section, which is mortgage information. It's extremely easy to customize the contact record because, as I said before, our focus is advisor productivity and to help you get going as quickly as possible. And so we've simplified the whole process of customization because that's what Toolkit is intended for. And you do that by going into system and then doing the custom entity editor. Now, I'm not going to be going into how to customize things today because that's a webinar on its own. That's a demo on its own. But for those of you folks that want to know how you can customize Toolkit for your business, feel free to book a one-on-one demo with my team, and they'll be more than happy to walk through it. But just know that it's extremely easy to customize it in any way that you want to, and you have multiple options for fields. You can add fields so that you can search up someone, and you can add date fields, you can add selection fields. There's just so much customization you can do if you want to. You know, under family, I can come in here and look up, you know, who the spouse is, and I can attach that spouse to the contact record. You know, I've got, for those of you that are familiar with Pareto, you might know the 4 methodology: family, occupation, recreation, and money. These are the 4 fundamental pillars that you need to understand about your client to build a deep relationship with them. And so we've got the family section, the occupation section, the recreational section, and the money section. Under the recreational section, you know, you've got a place here to attach categories. Now I can come in here and choose different things that the client is interested in. So maybe, you know, they're interested in wine, so I can attach that over here, and I'll show you one cool thing that I can do with categories later on using filters. But we'll get there soon. And I've added another section for 401k information. You know, maybe I want to track what's the percentage salary that they're matching, or what's the contribution amount. You know, what's the vesting schedule, what's the plan type for this person. These are, and I've created another section for goals. You know, I can just create a checklist of all the goals that the client has as a checklist. So every time I'm talking to my client, I understand, like, pinpoint, like, streamlined vision on what their goals are and how I can help them accomplish it. So it's always on top of mind. I've also added a banking information section. I've added a COI network section where I can attach all the accounting firm that they works with, who's their accountant, their law firm, and who's their lawyer, and just basic things like that. Now, another cool thing that I want to show you guys is if I wanted to come in here and just add a quick note. You know, I just got off the phone with the client, and so I just want to add a quick note. All I do is just come over to the right side here, click on Actions, Create Note, and you can add any note that you want to. So maybe this is Norman meeting with lawyer tomorrow. Okay, maybe that's the note that I want to create. And if you look at the right side here, there's a section called Regarding, and I can click here, search, and it will ask me what is that I would like to link with that note. Now I can come in here and link Johnson & Johnson Associates. Okay, so they've been linked. Now I can either save this as a draft or I can complete it. If I save it as draft, I can come later on and then edit that draft if I'd like to. So we've made it extremely easy for you to just create a quick note. And if you look here, there are different activities that you can do within the contact record. You can add an appointment directly from this contact record, or you can add a task to this. You can apply a process. You can print the contact record out, and different things like that. And the so how does another cool thing is the process of applying an automated process, right? Which is the core feature of Toolkit. The core feature is the ability to simplify. We focus on simplifying complex technology. So automated processes and complex workflows were out of the picture for advisors for a couple of years ago for advisors, because you needed to have an internal IT team to be able to build workflows like this. And so we've now leveled the playing field. And so processes and services are the automated sections of Toolkit. Those are the two sections where you can automate things. Now, both serve different purposes, and I'll get into what those purposes are. But let's dive into automated processes. And by now, you've also probably seen this section over here where it just keeps a tab of all the stuff that you've opened before. And let me show you a cool thing. If I'm switching over between these different things, there's literally no loading times. And we've worked very hard to achieve something like this. And so, we consider that a feat of achievement. Okay, so this is the processes tab. I click on processes, and this is what it looks like. I've got a bunch of examples in here, but what I want you guys to understand is, when you've been running a business for a long time, and you already know the different things that you need to do within the business, and you might have some certain business processes, you might have some processes that you do for your business. The goal is for you to take everything from here inside your head and put it into Toolkit. Pareto has this really good rule of thumb, which is, it's the rule of thirds. You're doing something more than 3 times and it has more than 3 steps, you might want to automate it, right? And so simple things like rescheduling a call. I get an email from a client and it says, hey John, hey Amal, I want to reschedule today's appointment. And I might not have time to actually do the reschedule myself. So what I can do is I can just come in here to the contact record, go here, actions, apply process, and look up what process I want to apply. Okay, reschedule the call, and then yes, and then save it. Processes have been applied successfully. Okay, what were those processes? Let's take a look. For the reschedule call process, what I did was, the first step of the sequence is to reschedule a meeting, and that's been assigned to my assistant. As you can see here, it says owner's assistant, so that's been assigned to my assistant. If I open this, it'll give me additional steps, on additional information on what that step entails. So this has been assigned to my assistant. So this makes things so much easier for me, right? So all I have to do is apply the process, and my assistant, it'll automatically come on her task center. It might have automatically actually come on the task center. Yeah, look, so reschedule and create the Zoom event and send the confirmation. It's a reschedule request. So everything in my business is just so seamless. I don't have to worry about putting everything inside my head and operating inside my head. I can just take everything from here and put it into an automated sequence. Okay, so how easy is it to build an automated process? Because that's probably why we're all here for, because this is the core thing that we're trying to solve. So let's create an automated process. Let's give this. Let's do a onboarding process. New client onboarding. What does that look like? Okay, save it. Okay, so as you can see, this is the new process that we're trying to automate. It's new client onboarding. Let's click on it. Okay, so it looks like there's nothing in the sequence, and that's because we haven't added any steps to this process. So let's try adding some steps. Okay, so first it's asking me to choose between an appointment and a task, which are the only activity types that are in Toolkit. And so how I differentiate between appointments and tasks is, as I told you before, I'd like to keep my calendar clean. And I typically only have either phone calls or Zoom calls or like lunches or in-person meetings, something that has to do with the client, or a meeting is typically what I just put on my calendar. Everything else is a task for me. So for this, the first step for us might be to send a welcome email. That might be the first step that we need to do. So that's not an appointment, because we don't actually need to schedule time for it. It can just be a task. So it's a task. So let's do send welcome email. Okay. We can either add a start and end time, or we can make this an all-day event, which is what I would recommend. And I'll get into why I'm recommending this in a bit. So do that. And it's asking us for an assignee type. Who do we want to assign this step to? Typically, it's my assistant that sends out the welcome email. So let's just give it to my assistant. And Toolkit already knows who my assistant is. I don't have to choose, who that person is. Toolkit automatically knows. And save. So just like that, we've created the first step in the onboarding process. The second step might be to send a welcome gift. Send a welcome gift. And this time, instead of choosing an all-day event, I know my assistant sends out packages in the morning, because the person that comes to pick up the packages from FedEx usually shows up at 8 a.m. So I want to put this at 7:30 a.m. because I know that she doesn't send out packages before or after that time. So I'm just going to put this here, assign it to my assistant, and then save it. So just like that, we've created a second step. And the third step might be to schedule a call to collect personal and financial information, right? Schedule a call to collect information. Okay, perfect. So this is actually an appointment because the advisor, either the advisor or either myself or the assistant has to call the person in order to actually get this information. And so this is an actual appointment because we're actually calling the person. So okay, what type of appointment type is it? Let's see what we have. Oh, we have phone call. Perfect. Okay, we're going to choose phone call. And again, I would recommend that you do an all-day event for this. And I'll get into why I'm recommending this in a bit. Let's give this to my assistant and save this. Perfect. Okay. Another thing that we also might want to add to this is the rollover functionality. I typically recommend for any process that you automate, I recommend you enable rollover if there's any activity that you're doing is dependent on an outside person. So in this case, the task or the appointment is to call the client and collect some personal information. So when the assistant calls, they might not pick up, right? And so the point of rollover is so that this particular appointment will roll over, meaning that it will move over to the next day and to the next day and to the next day until this is completed. So this makes sure nothing slips through the cracks, right? Because it's dependent on another person. It's not solely dependent on me or the assistant. It's dependent on someone else, which we can't control. So we want to make sure that this actually gets completed. So let's enable rollover for this, and let's just save it. So that's been, and let's just have one more final step to conduct a risk assessment using Riskalyze. Okay, perfect. Now let's go down. This is actually a task, and this time this task might be for myself and not the assistant because I'm doing the risk assessment. So contacts owner is typically the advisor that's attached to the contact record. Whoever owns the contact, which is typically advisor, is the person. So contacts owner, and I'm going to make this an all-day event. And for this, you see that this option here called days offset. What that is if you remember our previous step, which was to schedule a call and collect personal information, we actually might need maybe 4 or 5 days to actually review the information that we get from this client, and then to review it and then to do a risk assessment might take 5 days. So we want to set the days offset to 5 days so that this step or this activity is only coming onto our calendar 5 days after we've applied this process, which makes it so convenient, right? So because then your calendar isn't cluttered, you already know that I have 5 days to finish this task. I have 5 days to do the risk assessment, collect the personal information, and then do the risk assessment. You've got 5 days. And then it's assigned to myself. Let's save it. Just like that. Now I'm not going to go into all the other steps because it might be different for your business. This is just an example. So just like that, we've created a new client onboarding process, probably within less than 4 minutes over there. So how do we actually apply this to the client, right? We've created automation. So what does this look like, when applied to a client? So let's go back to Norman Albertson. Give me 1 second. Okay, go back to Norman Albertson and just apply a process. Actions, apply a process, see what the process is. New client onboarding, that's the one we just created. Okay, we want this to be dynamic. What dynamic is it's sequential. I'm not going to confuse you with it. Well, it's actually not confusing at all. Dynamic is just you finish the first step in order to finish the second step. So the second step won't show up until you finish the first one. That's what it is. Weekend avoidance. Well, obviously there's no one in the office to finish tasks or complete activities or do appointments on weekends. So we don't want anything falling on the weekend. And let's initialize this to next month the 1st. Let's click save. It says process applied successfully, new activities have been created. Okay, now let's go back to the calendar and let's go back to the next month here. Oh, sorry. Go back to the next month here. Oh, looks like, the schedule a call to collect personal financial information. This was part of our process that we just created as a part of our onboarding process. It says who's contacted is, who's that assigned to. Remember when we assigned it to the assistant? So my assistant shows up here. Rollover is automatically selected, and this is already on her things to do. So another cool thing is that if I wanted to export this appointment out to another external calendar, remember during the introduction I told you one connection you have with the outside world is that you get to export your appointments from Toolkit's calendar to an external one. And you can do that from the top here. You can either export it to an Outlook calendar or add it directly to a Google calendar right within Toolkit. So close. Perfect. So that's what processes look like. And I've built just few basic ones just so you guys have an understanding, all the way from a simple reschedule call to financial planning and projection. I've just gone all out and created all the steps that are associated with financial planning and projection. All I would have to do is come to the contact record and just apply this process when it's appropriate to do so. And the things that you can do with automated process is just so much you can do with it. Let me just show you my other account. And if I go to my processes, you can see that I just have so much things built out. Account transfer and consolidation, got budgeting and forecasting things that I can do. I can, client offboarding events that I can automate, estate planning and management events that I can automate. Open account. I can open an, have a process to open an account, reschedule a Zoom meeting. Tax planning and preparation. So the things that you can do, this is just to basically just act as an inspiration for you guys to do whatever is that your business process looks like. If you have that in your head, I recommend that you translate that into a process and then automate it using automated processes. Now, another cool thing, let me just switch back to my other account. Another cool thing is if I go to the contacts, I go back to the same contact, which was Norman Albertson. Remember when we applied the onboarding process to this person? If I scroll down, I can also see that under open activities, this person has all the activities that have been scheduled, that are in sequence for this person to complete. And if anything was completed, it'll just move over to the completed activities tab. Now, the contact record, as I said, is to act as your single source of truth. This is where I would come to get a 360-degree view of my clients. So anything related to that client and everything happening in Toolkit is automatically linked to the contact record. It acts as your single source of truth. And also, the processes section, you can also come here and click on this button that says View Applied Processes. And it'll tell you which were the processes that were applied to which contact and which day was it initialized and what were the different options associated with that. So, and the next thing that I want to touch on is services. Now, some of you folks typically segment your clients. Some of you don't. We all know that we do need to, that it's ideal. But regardless of whether you do or not, this will come in handy. This is a very, very powerful feature. Now, the services, so every single business owner has some form of client delivery, right? So which typically includes delivering a consistent, ongoing service each and every year. Battery is low. Which includes, so you know, you've got some sort of client service delivery, and which typically includes delivering a consistent, ongoing service each and every year, right? So you can treat this section, this services section, as a place where you come to automate your relationship building activities. That's the best way I can put it. And we do this to, you know, build trust with clients and build loyalty with clients. That's what this section is for. Here's to manage, create and manage and automate. Create, manage, automate relationship building activities. So here I've just got, you know, 3 different client classes that I've created. And each of them have different services that different relationship building activities that I've put in each of them. Well, the other ones don't have anything, but I'll show you why it doesn't have anything. So I've created all these different activities that I can do to build relationship with them. You know, some of them might be, you know, they get a birthday call on their birthday. Another one might be to send a birthday card to that client. Another one is to send a birthday gift. Now these are all automated. I'll explain what the automation part is. And you know, maybe you know, it's a 1-year anniversary. The client's been with me for 1 year, so it's a 1-year anniversary call. They've also got an anniversary card and a gift, or maybe it's for their wedding anniversary. You know, give them a call on their wedding anniversary, and you send them cards for their wedding anniversary. You send them flowers for their wedding anniversary. And in terms of my service delivery, you know, they might get a quarterly strategic review meeting instead of annually, or you know, or semi-annually, because the AAA is one of my best clients. So I want to make sure that I'm providing them with exceptional ongoing service. You know, or it might be rebalancing for you. You might rebalance their accounts every week rather than every 2 months or something like that. You know, it's what your service package looks like. You put that service package into different tiers, and it will automate that for you. So I've got all these different services that I've created. It's extremely easy. I'll show you how to do it. And that's for my AAA. Let's go down to AA. It looks like there's nothing in it. So to add a service, I can either, you know, I can click on it, and I can either apply a service which I've already created, so that I don't have to type out everything again. You know, so it makes things much more easier. Let's add a birthday call here. Let's do a birthday card as well. Let's not do the gift because that's reserved for the AAA clients. Let's do an anniversary call. Let's do a client anniversary card, but let's just reserve the gift for the AAA. Now, you know, that's one easy way to do it. If you wanted to create something that's, you know, custom, how you do it is you could just click on service, you can click on new service, and then it's going to ask you, you know, this is a bit similar to how we did the processes. This is very similar. So you can choose between an appointment and task. Again, I recommend, like, if it's not a phone call or Zoom call, anything that has to do with, you know, client or a meeting, I typically don't recommend putting it on your calendar. So let's just make that as task. Task is to let's actually make this an appointment. And let's just say it's a birthday call that we want to do. The next option it's asking me is, well, if we want to, what kind of scheduling type is it? We can choose between a set date or a contact date field. Now, a contact date field is, it's a date field inside the contact record. That's what a contact date field is. So let's just choose contact date field because we want to call, because we want to automate this, and we want to call the client on their birthday. So yeah, we want to pull a date field from the contact, yes. So it's asking us, which date field would you like to pull the data from? And we choose birthday. Perfect. Okay. We want this to occur yearly. Every 1 year scheduling activities on weekends. Yeah, we don't mind if it's a weekend because the other options are just skip it, which makes no sense for birthdays. And the other one is to move to the nearest weekday. Well, what's the point of that? You call the person after their birthday, like happy birthday. It makes no sense, right? So you want it to actually show up on your calendar on the day that it's actually their birthday. So let's just keep it as it is. The appointment type is to phone call. I'll make this an all-day event, and this I'll assign it to myself because I probably want myself to call the person, not my assistant, and push it off to my assistant. So let's just save this. So this way I've created a birthday call, just a service. This is so easy to do. Maybe the next one is to do a service. Next service is to do let's just do a task, and that one might be to send a birthday card. And this time, yeah, we want contact date field, we want birthdays, we want the pattern for yearly. And this time, there's probably nobody in the office to actually send out stuff on a weekday. So we want to push this, on a weekend. So we want to push this to the nearest weekday. We want this activity, if it falls on a weekend, we want it so that it automatically pushes it to a weekday so that it gets done. And let's make this 8 a.m. because I know my assistant does all her sending through FedEx in the morning. And let's assign this to my assistant, and then that's it. Let's just save it. So that way we've created another process. We've created another service here. And it's okay. So we have these different client classes. How do we automate this for each client? Let's go back to Norman Albertson. Okay, so if you look at the top, we have a section here for client class, and it looks empty. So what we'll do is we'll just open that client class, and AA is what we created. Let's assign him that tier. Perfect. Now let's save and close. Awesome. Okay, now if we go back to the calendar, go back to next month. If you look at that, it's the birthday call is automatically on my calendar. It's an all-day event. It's assigned to me. That's the client. That's what I'm doing, and it's just and I can export this out to a calendar or Google. It's just so easy to do it, right? So the services tab is where you automate all your ongoing services with your clients. This is how you build trust with them. And another cool thing is, is this service matrix. Now this is so cool. If I click on service matrix, it automatically generates what my services look like for each of those different tiers of clients, right? My laptop screen is a bit different. That's why it's a bit squished. But if you're on a more bigger screen, then it'll look clean. So I can see that, and by the way, this is automatically generated. It's not something that I do. It's basing off of the different tiers that I have and the different services I have within it. Now, the service matrix has dual purpose, right? The first purpose is so that if you have a client, you can be fully transparent with them and say, hey, you're in the AA tier, and these are all the services that you get in this frequency, right? And if they wanted more touch points in a year, you can be like, hey, our AAA tier has more touch points, has double the touch points than the tier that you're in right now, and then take the conversation that way. And the second purpose of this is so that your team knows exactly what your client service delivery looks like, right? If a client calls in and say, hey, I'm not sure how many touch points I get in a year, or if I'm not sure if I get this service, you guys come into the service matrix and look up what they get, what they get for their service, or how often they get it. And if you're onboarding another advisor or another assistant, it's so easy for them to learn about what your model looks like, right? Because all they have to do is open the service matrix and look at all the services for each tier, and they get it right away. And so for all the visual learners out there, this is phenomenal. Okay, and the next thing that I probably want to touch on is filters. So filters, I'm not going to go deep into filters today. And that's for anyone that wants a very personalized demo with our team, they'd be more than happy to walk you through filters. Filters is so powerful. You can literally track or extract data from any field inside Toolkit, quite literally. I just have a couple of ones built out here where I just want to see which clients do I, you know, which are my clients that their mortgage ends next month. So I've just created a filter. I've just saved it, so because I don't have to create it every month. So I just click on it, and it'll just give me all the clients that their mortgage ending next month. And I can export this to a spreadsheet. I can export this into a spreadsheet, and I can even save the spreadsheet inside Toolkit. If I go down to System, I can go into File Store, and I can see that this File Store is somewhere that I can create client folders and put that folder inside, and I put that file inside those folders. I can arrange differently. A question that I always get from advisors is, well, we don't really want to put client-sensitive information inside this system over here, which and they always bring up security, right? Because security is the reason why they don't want to do it. And I want to tell you what I want to tell you today is the file center that I just showed you, the file store, has the same level of security that Toolkit does. Now, with anyone operating in this industry, they have to maintain certain security standards, and we've gone beyond those security standards to integrate some of the most advanced security protocols out there. And so we have banking grade security for Toolkit and for the file store. So any of the information that you have inside Toolkit, any of the information that you have inside the file store, it's fully encrypted. You don't have to worry about security at all. You can also lock it with two-factor authentication. What that means is every time you log in, it just sends you an email. It just sends you a code to your email or phone number, and you have to actually put in that code to log into Toolkit. So that's where we take security a step above. So that I've gone through services, I've gone through the service matrix, I've gone through filters, and this email section is which acts as your inbox. I don't have anything on here because I haven't tracked any emails. And if there were any, it will automatically get attached to the client's contact record. So that's a rundown of all the features and functionalities and benefits of Toolkit. If any of you folks want a one-on-one demo, want a personalized demo, what you can do is you can head over to the website and you can click on Get Demo, and you can scroll down here. Oh, we're booked out for this month. For next month, you can check all the dates and times that's available to you and book a personalized one-on-one demo. If you wanted to know more about what the security is, you can scroll down to the bottom and click on security. This is a security document outlining all the security protocols and measures that we have set in place, and you can go through this at your own pace. Another thing that I want to bring to your attention is the idea of the concept of an implementation partner, because that's what most CRM providers fail to provide, because no matter how easy you make a technology, it's very hard to adopt it initially because you don't know anything about it, right? So we have an implementation partner that actually works with you to understand your business and implement all the things inside your business alongside with you inside Toolkit and make sure that you're happy with how it looks like. And so and that's provided to you at no additional cost. When you do sign up, you're provided with an implementation partner. They'll work with you to help you migrate your data over from your existing provider, or if you don't have any data, then we'll just help you set up Toolkit the way that you want it to. And for anyone that wants to test pilot the Toolkit platform, you can just go to the website and click on Start for free. We don't need your credit card information. Just sign up using your email, and you get full access to it. It's instant setup. Instant setup. And as for support, most other CRM companies, I don't want to name drop, they typically charge you for any personalization or any technical support you ask them, which is a bit different from our philosophy. So any technical issues that you have, any troubleshooting that you need to do, we're available to you from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time, you can pick up the phone and talk to an actual person, and we'll actually help you set everything up. Or whatever troubleshooting is that you want to do, you can either send us an email or call us, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. So it looks like we're almost, we've got a bit more time left to do a couple of questions. If you guys have any, just put your questions into the chat box over here, and I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. Okay, I've got a couple of questions here. Are the calendar sync and email options available for Canadian hosted plans? I do not know this functionality was available as of yet. Yes. So, some advisors have questions about where their data is hosted. It's for advisors that are in the US, their data is hosted in the US for compliance purposes. For anyone that's in Canada, their data is hosted in a Canadian server. And so, yes, the calendar sync and email options are available for Canadian hosted plans. There is no problem with your compliance coming in the way or anything of that sort. It's the calendar sync works for any user anywhere. Does the info entered into Toolkit, that is email or mail calendar entry, pass through Outlook, as that is our primary calendar and email tool? Does the info entered into Toolkit, that is email or calendar entry, pass through Outlook? Yes. So so you can actually directly email your clients directly from within Toolkit itself, which actually goes through your email client provider. So if I go into contacts, let's open Norman. So if I scroll down, and now I have Norman's email right here, it has an email sign. So I can click on this button and it will open whoever my email client provider is. I use Spark instead of Gmail because it's more productive. So that's just my email client provider. So yeah, you can email directly from this, and you can also attach whatever is that on your calendar. You can quite literally export that out into a Google Calendar or an Outlook calendar. Yes, that's possible. Does family, household versus contact setup and logging of emails, notes, etc.? Not sure if there's a question here. Any ability to integrate calendar with scheduling tool like Calendly or bookings? Family, household versus contact setup and logging of emails. Yeah. So Mike, a household setup versus an individual contact setup is something that is up to your preference. Toolkit just has the flexibility for you to do both, because we've dealt with advisors that don't use the household setup and advisors that use the household setup. So depending on what you want to do, it's completely up to you to choose whichever way that you want to work. So I hope that answers the question. I hope that got that right. And yes, yeah, the logging of emails and notes, it'll the emails will automatically log into that household depending on like if that household has the people linked to it. So it does automatically connect or sync. Any ability to integrate Calendly with a scheduling tool like Calendly? Mike, I'm so glad you asked this question. Mike is pretty much asking if there's a way to integrate the calendar with a scheduling tool like Calendly or bookings. I'm so glad he asked, because if you look at our roadmap, possibly the next week or then a week after, we're actually coming out with a tool that's far more superior than Calendly, because Calendly doesn't let you put a lot of parameters. So maybe I can give you guys a glimpse of what that looks like. Maybe let me see. So this is a calendar tool that we're working on right now, and you have direct the ability to create this will exist within Toolkit itself. So you can create different links. You can put certain parameters around it and send the link to the client. And what the client will see is this page with your information on it, the way that you want it tuned, and your calendar. So they can come in here and click the next available, and we'll automatically select them. They can continue and put in their information. You'll get the notification. The client gets notification. Excuse me. The client gets the notification, and then that's automatically synced. That's automatically synced with your calendar inside Toolkit, because it's not an add-on. It's part of Toolkit system, right? So it's part of Toolkit. So you don't have to integrate with it. It already comes integrated inside it. And you can set different parameters. If you want the link to expire after a certain time, it'll expire. If you don't want your clients to have access to your calendar for the whole year, and only for a couple of months, maybe it's just for next month, you can put the parameter inside when you configure the link, so that your client only sees that month or those weeks or that period of time. And if you have some bookings already on your calendar, this tool will not show the client that time is available, because Toolkit knows you're not available at that time. So it's pretty cool. We're almost done with developing this. We're at the final stages of testing out and weaving out some bugs, if there was any. But from my understanding, we should be ready to launch that next month. Either next week or the week after. The next question is, can the files be saved in an automated way to my internal files? Well, when you download the spreadsheet, if that's what we're referring to, it just goes into your downloads folder, right? Inside your computer. You can choose to upload that into Toolkit's file center if you want to. Some advisors pay for Dropbox. It can get quite expensive, and so we offer that as a free service. And it's unlimited file storage. You can store how much of your files that you want inside it. So there's no way to automate that part, because it's up to you to upload it if you want it or not. And so yeah, there's no way to automate the attachment to the file store. No. Next question Stephen has is, can the financial planning steps be set up as a part of the processes? Yes, Stephen. So if you look at the processes that I have for financial planning and projection, you'll see that I'm a person that likes to do everything step by step, and so I'm not going home stressed, right? If I have everything in order, I can check off the first step, second step, and then I come in the next day. I know where to pick up whatever I need to do, right? So yes, the financial planning steps are part of the process, can be set up as a part of the process. It should be set up as part of the processes. Now, you might be wondering, well, I offer financial planning as a service, as a part of my service packages to different tiers of my clients. Great. You might provide basic financial planning and advanced financial planning. What you do is, one of your AAA might have advanced financial planning, right? And your AA might only have basic. So you put advanced over here just as a regular, just a regular service. And what you do is, when it comes on your calendar, you go to that client and you apply advanced financial planning as a process to them. So let's just assume this birthday call was just financial planning. It just says financial planning. It doesn't have any other steps or anything, just financial planning. And it comes on your calendar like this. Just assume that this was financial planning, right? And you'll have the client attached over here. What you can do is just come over here, Norman, go here, actions, apply a process, look up which process you want to apply, financial planning and projection, and just click dynamic process, weekend avoidance, and then save. Everything in that step-by-step process will automatically come on your calendar and your assistant's calendar, or whoever is involved in your team that you want to give that to. So yes, it should be, it's a combination of services and processes. Hope that answers for you. Christy is asking me what the pricing is. Very good question, Christy. Let's go to the website. So if you go under pricing, now this is Canadian pricing. 35. If I were to choose US, it's $26. It's $29 it's $29 per user per month. Now I don't think you're going to get anything more competitive than this, Christy. It's $29 per month per user. USD, and if you switch that to yearly, you save 10%. The average comes down to $26 per month. And for those of you Canadian folks out there, just so you want the conversion, Canadian for monthly is $39 Canadian, and if you switch to yearly, it's $35. Alan Myers, does this does this dovetail with any custodian? As I said, Alan, you have to differentiate between modularity versus interconnectivity. Toolkit is modular, meaning that you can have steps in there that tells you to add information to a custodian, but it doesn't actually push the data because the technology is not up to the point where it works seamlessly. And so most of the time you end up spending most of your time on fixing whatever issue was with the connection, the technical connectivity. And so you can have a step in there that says, copy paste the data from the CRM to the custodian platform. And that's something you can do. Stephen questions is asking me, can email messages be automated by a group or category of clients? I'm glad you asked that question, Stephen. So one way you can do it is if you go into, if you go into filters, if you want to send a bulk email to all your, let me just actually show you, email to A clients. It's not AAA, it's not AA, it's A client. So let's go here and choose client class and search up all the A clients, okay? And run filter. Okay, so it's giving me all the A clients that I have. What I can do is I can export the spreadsheet and it has the emails in there, right? So I can take the emails, put it into whatever email provider that I'm using, because a lot of people use different things, Gmail, Outlook, their own Exchange server. So you can take these, you can copy paste these emails and put it into your whoever the email client provider is, and then send them a bulk email. So that's how you can use bulk email with Toolkit. What's use all day? Oh yes, sorry, Beverly. I mentioned I would say that. Now, why use all day? Because okay, so if I go into the calendar, Beverly, one thing that you'll notice is that you see how all these scheduled activities has a time, right? 12 p.m., 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 1 p.m., 12:30, 1 p.m., 9 p.m., and all the other stuff that was automated, that we added as all day has no time, right? It has no time. And the reason is because we don't want to, we might have certain activities on the calendar that we don't want the automated stuff to overlap with, right? And so if I was you, how I would manage my day is I would come in the morning and I would look at my calendar. It looks like, okay, I've got a vendor call at 11:30, maybe I might have another call at 1:30. I can also see that there are other what do you call it? Other things that I need to do for the day that have not been scheduled yet, and because they're part of automated processes. So I can come in and open it and say, hey, I have time today I have time to do this on at 1:45 p.m. because I don't have anything to do. I save and close. Oh, change that to save and close. Okay, so now that's actually scheduled. That's actually scheduled in to my calendar rather than it automatically scheduling it for me, because now then I have to weave through, which was part of an automated process, which is the one that's actually scheduled for me. This way, if I have something scheduled in my calendar, it's there, I'm doing it at that time. For the stuff that's automated, all the steps that were automated, I come in the day, I look at all the things that I need to do, and then I choose the time for which I need to complete those things. The same applies for tasks, right? The same applies for tasks. I just choose which time is that I want to finish that rather than just, I typically categorize all day stuff by things that I need to do for that day, and then I choose each one and then give it times. That's how I manage my day. That's how I streamline everything. So hope that answers your question, Beverly. And I apologize for not saying that before. I should have said that. How long has the export to Outlook feature been available? Probably a year and a half. Yeah, probably a year and a half, I would say. Can we load investment account info into the client profiles from third-party companies? Oh, great question, Ben. Thank you for asking that question. Yes, Ben. So when you export out your investment account information from the client profiles from another third party, maybe it's Right Capital that you use, or maybe it's eMoney Pro, whatever that may be, when you export out that information either as a CSV file or a XLS file, which is typically a spreadsheet file, XLXS is the extension. You export it out. It's typically it's just a spreadsheet. It's a regular spreadsheet extension. What you can do is you can come into System, Data Import, and create a data import. You can click on this button, and you can choose which file is that you just uploaded from, the file that you just downloaded, the extraction that you downloaded from the third-party software, and you can just choose that file, and then map which field. Maybe you have a field that says client portfolio balance. That might be one of the fields. So you can have that field inside the Excel sheet map onto the contact record. So you have that information inside Toolkit too. So that's how you do it, and it's so easy to actually do this. I don't want to go through this because I'm sure the average person will be able to do this. I'm so confident. That's why I'm not showing you this. It's just so easy. What API functions does the platform accommodate? Well, Larry, it doesn't accommodate any API functions as of right now. Maybe it's something that we can look into the future, but currently we don't support any API functions to maintain our internal securities. I'll say it. What API access available such as mobile? I forgot to mention to you guys about the mobile app. Now, that's something you get access to Toolkit. You don't have to pay extra for it. It just comes along with Toolkit. So any information that you have inside Toolkit is also made available to you through a mobile phone app, whether that's you're using Android or iOS or iPhone. You can download it from the App Store or Play Store, and you can use those. You can use that. You can create appointments. You can create notes. You can add contacts. You can delete contacts. You can just do so many stuff with it. But in terms of API access, you don't have API access to API access available such as mobile assistant. Maybe you're asking if maybe if Siri can pull off information from Toolkit app. Maybe I'm assuming that's what you're asking with API information. You can do custom things with API and different assistants. I think that's what we're asking. That's something that's not something you can do with Toolkit, Larry. Is there a list of applications and add-ons that work with the platform? As I said, Larry, before, this is a modular platform. All the other applications and things that you use will remain on its own as an independent module. Toolkit will remain as the command center for those independent modules. So the Toolkit is where you come in and add different steps that you need to do. You need to do to those different modules. So no, it doesn't support any other applications or add-ons. Can I attach emails from Outlook to client contact records and delete from Outlook without deleting email and platform contact record? Now, does an IMAP account delete the email in the platform if deleted in Outlook inbox? So in a sense, it's archiving emails in the platform contact record. Yeah. So if Toolkit automatically syncs stuff within Toolkit, it does not delete it. So even if you delete all the emails from your email client provider, in this case, you're saying you're using Outlook. Yeah, even if you delete stuff from Outlook, but it has already been inside Toolkit, it's already been synced inside Toolkit. Yes, even if you delete it from your email client provider, which is Outlook, Toolkit will still have that email attached to it because we need to maintain compliance. You can't just delete stuff, right? So that's to maintain compliance. Yes, thanks for asking that question, Larry. Can you do all the clients at the same time or one client at a time? I'm not sure what this refers. Oh, Ben, you might be asking about the import from your third-party platform, maybe a financial planning software. Yes, you can do multiple clients at the same time. Yes, you can. Also, is there an easy way to display a client's age under the contact? Easy way to display the client's age under the contact? Well, you can definitely add the. Oh, good question. I don't think we have an age. Good question. It might be something that we can add. And again, Ben, this is something that you can add custom, right? So you can customly add how old the client is using the custom entity editor. You can just come in here, add a field to this. If age is something that you want to add, you can just come in here and add a field. So it's that easy. So I don't have to do that math. Yeah, Ben. You can just add it as a custom field, and we can have it so that it's based off of your birthday, based off of the client's birthday. Yeah, that's not a problem. And that's all the questions that I have. So yeah, thank you all for joining. I appreciate you taking the time. And oh, another question. Can you do an import from Wealthbox and import all emails that are in Wealthbox in Dropbox? Lots of boxes here. Can you do an import from Wealthbox? Can you do an import from Wealthbox and import all emails that are in Wealthbox in Dropbox? I don't quite understand the question, Larry. Yeah, you can. Yeah, we do help you with importing all your stuff from Wealthbox over to Toolkit. That's not a problem. Import all emails that are in Wealthbox. That might be something that's a bit technical. I'm not sure if that's possible. I do know that anything, if you have stuff in your inbox, like your client Outlook inbox, I know we can export. We can put that into Toolkit, but I'm not sure about the stuff in Dropbox, Larry. That's I don't think that's possible. Again, that might be something that you might want to talk to, call us and talk to about, because we don't have any context. Can we tag clients with different categories? Client tax, client investment, prospect, source of client? Yes. As I said, Stephen, you can add any field that you want to inside the contact record. You can tag them with any category you want to. You can track any information you want to. Yes, if you want to tag them with client tax, then you can tag them. And you want to know what the source of the client was, yes, you can add a field where it's a source of client, and you can have a drop down of different sources that you typically get. Maybe it's a referral, maybe it's a walk-in, whatever that may be. You can just you can put it into a drop down there, no problem. Emails are attached to dashboard in Wealthbox. Oh, okay, through Dropbox. Oh, that's interesting. That's why would that happen? Interesting. I'm not sure about that, Larry. I do know that if you have some stuff in your Outlook or Google or whatever email provider you use, we can put that in Toolkit. I'm not sure this because Wealthbox cannot archive unless you have a enterprise server. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, that's definitely not the case with Toolkit, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. As far as transferring all the stuff from the enterprise server for archived emails, not quite sure, Larry. That's something I'd have to talk to the support team about. Feel free. We have a section where if you really want the answer to that question, to the website, you can go to Contact Us and click on Support, and just choose whatever this might be. This might be under Setup Assistance, and you can put in the information that you want to know the answer to, and we'll get back to you right away. So yeah, that's all the questions I have, and we're running out of time. We actually went really overboard, but thank you for investing your time with us, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week ahead, and good luck for your business. Thank you.